Bon Jovi skyrocketed to global superstardom with their electrifying stage presence, unforgettable rock anthems, and the powerful dynamic between frontman Jon Bon Jovi and lead guitarist Richie Sambora. Together, they created the sound of a generation, anthems that filled arenas and defined the spirit of rock in the 80s and 90s. While every member played a crucial role, it was Richie Sambora's soulful guitar work and signature harmonies that helped shape the band's unmistakable identity. But behind the scenes, tensions were building. When Sambora abruptly left the band, it stunned fans worldwide, and what he later revealed about his relationship with Jon Bon Jovi has left many truly shocked. Long before the fame, Richie Sambora was just a working-class kid from Woodbridge Township, New Jersey. Born on July 11, 1959, he grew up in a humble home where dedication and grit were part of daily life. From a young age, Richie showed a deep curiosity for music. Though he started with the accordion at 6, by his teens, Richie was mastering blues licks and rock riffs, drawing inspiration from legends like Eric Clapton and Jimmy Page. During his early years, Richie cut his teeth in the gritty club scene, performing with various local bands, most notably Message, a New Jersey outfit that developed a small but loyal following. Life on the road was far from glamorous, sleeping in cramped vans, playing dive bars night after night. But for Richie, it wasn't about fame, it was about survival through music. That raw, unfiltered experience gave him a deep appreciation for the craft and a relentless drive to make it. Word began to spread across New Jersey's tight-knit music scene that a new band called Bon Jovi was gaining attention. Their demo for Runaway had picked up steam on local radio, and the buzz was undeniable. Richie Sambora, already seasoned by years of gigging and road life, decided to check them out live. What he saw that night was raw talent, but something was missing. After the show, Richie introduced himself and offered to audition. It only took one rehearsal for Jon Bon Jovi to realize they had found their missing piece. Richie's arrival didn't just fill a spot in the lineup, it transformed the band's entire chemistry. With his guitar, songwriting instincts, and soulful voice, Richie became the essential complement to Jon's drive and vision. From the beginning, Richie wasn't a hired hand, he was a partner. His emotional guitar style and bluesy undertones added a dimension the band didn't know it needed. He quickly became a creative force, co-writing tracks and helping shape the sound that would soon define 1980s rock. Their musical bond was instantaneous. While Jon brought the arena rock hooks, Richie brought heart. They were the result of a balanced collaboration that mixed grit with grandeur. Richie's harmonies and solos didn't just decorate the songs, they gave them depth. As Bon Jovi's fame skyrocketed, Richie's role grew even more integral. With albums like Slippery When Wet and New Jersey, the band achieved global superstardom. Yet behind the scenes, Richie was quietly influencing everything from vocal arrangements to production decisions. Though Jon was the face of the band, Richie's fingerprints were all over their success. He was the emotional core, the grounding presence in a band rocketing toward commercial heights. Fans saw him not just as a guitar player, but as the heart of the band. His charisma, smile, and genuine connection to the audience became just as iconic as his riffs. Richie was instrumental in steering that evolution. His playing became more refined, his songwriting more personal. While it wasn't a commercial juggernaut, it proved something vital. Richie had his own voice, one that resonated deeply with those who listened. Still, he remained loyal to the band, and the Jon-Richie partnership seemed as strong as ever. Despite this, their friendship appeared intact. Decades of shared history can't be easily erased, and on the surface, the bond seemed unbroken. The tours continued, the albums kept coming, and fans still showed up in droves. But creatively, the landscape had changed. Richie, once the emotional equal in the partnership, was increasingly sidelined. His identity within the band, so strongly defined in the earlier years, felt diminished. And while the world still saw Richie and Jon as a united front, behind the curtain, the dynamic had shifted. The collaboration that once felt like lightning in a bottle was beginning to fade. And then, one day, Richie walked away. It all happened so fast. One day, Richie Sambora was an inseparable part of Bon Jovi, on stage, in rehearsals, featured on every tour poster, and the next, he was simply gone. In April 2013, fans packed the Saddledome in Calgary, eagerly awaiting another electrifying performance. But just before the show began, an unexpected announcement echoed through the arena: Richie wouldn't be performing that night. No further explanation. No heartfelt message. Just a cold, clinical update on the band's website citing personal issues. For the millions who had followed Richie's journey, the silence spoke volumes, and none of it felt right. Panic and confusion swept across fan forums and social media. Where was Richie? Was he okay? Would he be back? But as days turned into weeks, and weeks into months, no answers came. Jon Bon Jovi eventually addressed the situation in an interview, but his comments were vague, more businesslike than brotherly. He made it clear that the band would continue without Richie. Shows had been booked, tickets were sold, and the machine had to keep running. But for fans, this wasn't just a missing guitarist, it was the quiet disappearance of a soul that had shaped the emotional sound of Bon Jovi. Tour after tour rolled on. Richie remained absent. He didn't issue a statement. He wasn't seen backstage. His social media accounts stayed quiet. For a long time, it felt like he had vanished entirely from the Bon Jovi story. And that silence hurt. Because Richie wasn't just another member, he was the heart. The guy who flashed a grin during solos, who shared genuine moments with the crowd, who grounded the band with warmth and humility. In his place stood Phil X, a talented guitarist with incredible skill, but the intangible magic Richie brought was missing. The music was technically the same, but the soul. Speculation filled the gap where communication failed. Years passed, but the wound never quite healed for fans. Why had it ended that way? Why no goodbye? No final hug on stage? Eventually, Richie answered those questions. And when he did, it was clear, it was never about ego, money, or fame. It was about family. It was about personal peace. And maybe most of all, it was about stepping away before something that had once brought him joy turned into something that didn't. After Richie Sambora quietly stepped away from Bon Jovi, he stayed mostly silent about what really happened. There were vague comments in interviews, scattered phrases that hinted at tension, but nothing definitive. Then, over time, he began to open up, not with a dramatic tell-all, but with quiet candor. Richie's words weren't bitter. They carried the weight of reflection, not revenge. Slowly, in scattered interviews and backstage conversations, he began to reveal a very different picture of the band fans thought they knew. It wasn't the glamorous world of rock stardom they had imagined. It was layered, tense, and increasingly toxic. In one reported conversation with a close friend, Richie was asked why he truly left. This time, he didn't give the expected, personal reasons, line. Instead, he paused and said something that cut deeper. I had to look out for myself. It got toxic. He was kind of disgusting about it. Sometimes people change when money and power get involved. It stopped being about music. It started being about control. That single quote told fans more than 100 press statements ever could. What finally drove Richie away wasn't scandal. It was disillusionment. The creative brotherhood he had cherished was unraveling, and he found himself edged out of the very band he helped build from the ground up. According to those close to the situation, the shift wasn't sudden, it was slow and corrosive. Creative decisions began to happen without Richie's input. Setlists were locked before he had a say. Studio sessions moved forward without his signature touch. And while there was no explosive confrontation, the message became clear. Richie's voice, once essential, was no longer central. The word disgusting wasn't aimed at personal behavior, it was about the erasure of respect. Richie wasn't just losing creative control. He was being quietly sidelined. Once treated like a brother, he was now being treated like an employee. Richie Sambora's quiet exit and even quieter reflections didn't spark headlines. They sparked understanding. He never aimed to create drama or cast blame. He simply spoke his truth, and in doing so, reminded everyone that even legends need room to breathe. His journey after Bon Jovi wasn't about chasing charts or stadium lights. It was about rediscovering passion. Whether writing music with Orianthi or showing up for his daughter's milestones, Richie chose a life of presence over performance. The man who once toured the world now found fulfillment in smaller stages and real moments, proof that true success isn't always loud. Still, the bond he shared with Jon Bon Jovi, though fractured, never truly disappeared. Their brief reunion at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame was a bittersweet reminder of what once was, a flicker of the magic fans still miss. But Richie made it clear, returning would require more than nostalgia. It would require change. Today, he continues on his own terms, fulfilled by purpose rather than pressure. And while the door to a reunion remains cracked open, Richie Sambora doesn't look back with regret. He walked away not because he gave up, but because he finally chose himself.